The MCU Phase 4 was an absolute bust. The property is at an all-time low. They're looking for something to rejuvenate interest in the MCU itself. And I imagine Fantastic Four and the X-Men are really the big properties that they have a chance to do that with. But it sounds like the Fantastic Four, which is further along in production, isn't going to go well if we are to believe rumors, Doc. This might be bad.
Look, there was a lot of lessons to be taught through the failures, both financial, critical, from a fan service side of Phase 4. There's a lot of lessons to be learned, and it seems like there's not a lot of learning being done. Coming out of Endgame, everybody was like, well, they have two huge properties. The X-Men, which has hundreds of characters, if not 1,000 characters. Then you have a lot of your bigger villains that are also tied directly to the FF brand. We saw Phase 4 kind of blow up in their face. If rumors are to be believed, they're not learning many lessons here.
Well, the first lesson they need to learn about Fantastic Four is that the Thing needs to be at the heart of everything. He is the heart of the Fantastic Four. There are other people with better powers that are more capable, but the Thing himself, Ben Grimm, is the heart and soul of the team, and everything needs to be running through him or people are going to get disinterested.
The Thing is number one. Before Wolverine, he was the breakout character from any kind of major team book. The Thing got his own team-up book the same way Spider-Man had his own team-up book. He's proven over time that he has that cultural cachet, and people respond to this character because he is so relatable. So yeah, he needs to be the central character. And what is our rumor saying?
Well, the rumor doesn't even mention him. He's not even a part of the equation, because I guess if you just come to Fantastic Four and you don't know the comics or the stories or the universe or the history or anything like that, you think, well, it must be Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm that are most important. This is coming from WDW Pro, speaking with Force of Light Entertainment's Michelle Smith in an interview on September 27th. He says, the Fantastic Four movie was Sue Storm-centric. Reed Richards was only referred to as Mr. Fantastic, ironically, even negatively in the film. WDW Pro then revealed that his source had claimed that major plot points of the film was Sue Storm's realization that she had been sacrificing so much of herself, being in a relationship with him being Reed Richards.
I mean, it's not that it's bad. It's that it's so cliche and it's so tired, and we've seen it so many times, and it's such a major deviation from a large part of the source material.
They've certainly done that with Sue Storm in the past, Doc. There's no denying that.
Oh, yes.
And whenever they've done it in comic books, the thing that happens, people stop reading the Fantastic Four. They don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. They've tried this many, many, many times in the comics. It has failed miserably. It's pushed readers away. I know, I get it. The whole, feminism, women as just a housewife, but she's never been portrayed as just a housewife. She's
the glue that keeps the team together.
Yes.
Ben Grimm is the heart of the team. She's the glue. Obviously, Reed Richards is the brains, the smarts of the team. And then Johnny Storm is the, the bad day that you have where you're not supposed to do what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Look, this is once again comic books doing this, and especially comic films going, well, it just hasn't been done right. They have all kinds of laboratory evidence saying it doesn't work.
We don't only have evidence that this doesn't work for the Fantastic Four just by this storyline happening multiple times and being rejected every single time, but we have evidence that the MCU fan base itself doesn't like this direction. They don't like when you start sidelining some of the major heroes to elevate the female heroes. It actually is proven to drive people away. So they have multiple pieces of evidence to say that this is likely a terrible direction for the future of your franchise. They have evidence from Star Wars that this type of direction for your franchise will not work and it'll actually turn people off. Yet they continuously go to it. It gets very frustrating. Whether you're a Marvel fan or you're a Star Wars fan or a DC fan, you're just like, come on, can we just stop fucking around and actually make a Fantastic Four movie? They've tried this, 3 times now, and they failed every time.
What was the thing that made the MCU popular in the first place? Is that it didn't run away from its comic book origins. It leaned into it. It didn't deviate too much from the source material in the fact that it didn't deviate from the characters. Whenever they started deviating from that, whenever they started running away from that, you started trying to make things that didn't work in comics work in movies. I mean, Look, the Eternals is a perfect example of shit that has never, ever, ever worked in comics. When you deviate from the thing that people like and change it fundamentally, you end up driving away the audience that is supposed to evangelize for your product. Marvel, during phases 1 through 3, they had all of the fanboys, all the Marvel zombies evangelizing for their product out there in the wilderness to the non-comic geek, to the just casual viewer, say, no, this is going to be awesome. Now, what are you doing? You're pushing away the evangelists? Are you people fucking retarded?
Well, that's not the only people that they're pushing away, Doc. Apparently, this has had a negative impact on casting as well as finding director for the film. The source asserted that apparently Reed Richards is so poorly depicted that some actors even passed on playing the role. They did not want to be involved with this toxic masculinity style portrayal, the individual concluded. Apparently, the original director, MCU Spider-Man trilogy's Jon Watts, left at least partway through due to the same issue. Apparently, the portrayal of Reed Richards is so bad, nobody wants to portray the character, and the director had to leave in the early stages of production because he didn't want to be associated with it either. That's how you're going to end up with fucking Matt Smith playing Reed Richards, like the fucking charisma vacuum that's like just weird looking.
Look, is he going to be off in his own little world? Is he going, do you want to do like some criticism on egotism and somebody that is too full of themselves and singularly focused sometimes and at the expense of everyone else around him? Yes, you can do that story with Reed any day of the week. But the last thing I would ever think of when I'm thinking of Reed Richards is any form of toxic masculinity. Reed is not exactly the most masculine character in the Marvel universe, or even I'd say in the top 30. They're changing who Reed is to fit a story that they want to tell rather than telling a fucking Fantastic Four story.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very promising. And obviously, you want to be able to cast a role and get some good people in there, but why would you want to portray that version of Reed Richards? You know, Reed Richards has a flaw. You know, he's too smart for his own good. He gets himself and his family into trouble by trying to do things and mess with things that he doesn't quite understand because he believes he's so smart that he can think himself around that. And that fits out perfectly great into a sci-fi adventure, you know, superhero story. But once you start tweaking this stuff and you move away from everything that makes the character great and special, and quite frankly, I think Reed Richards of the team is the most boring character to begin with. Like why would you want to destroy him? They should only be thinking about the Thing and how to get this team over using him, not trying to push Stu Storm to the front, because that's just, it's never going to work.
Again, you have the one character that's actually carried a solo book. It's the Thing. He's done it multiple times. He's done it as a team-up book. He was the hugely popular breakout star. He's always had a fan base. And what are you going to do? You're going to go for the chick that is best known for when she was mind-controlled and had a 4-boob window.
Listen, dude, if we don't get the 4-boob window, and it sounds like we're not going to, that's going to be disappointing.
It really is.
Especially if they hire somebody with some decent jugs.
Yeah, if we're getting like slutty hot wife Sue Storm, where she's trying to bag every dude,
she's got roots and bangs.
Yeah, and like
I'm kind of for it.
Yeah, like with the Fantastic Four boob window and like the thong, like one piece and like the thigh high boots. I mean, yeah, sure, we can go with that, but that's not Sue Storm either. You're trying too hard with all of this shit. I get it.
Whatever. Sue Storm, not a major player in the Marvel universe, certainly an important part of the team or whatever. But if this Fantastic Four doesn't work, this is the logical inclusion of so many really high-profile villains that could be Avengers-level threats. We're talking Galactus. We're talking Doctor Doom, some of the most important villains that they're going to need to count on moving forward. And if you just botch it at the beginning, what are you going to do? Introduce them for the X-Men? You're like, this is actually an important movie. And to get in your own way and drop the ball because Sue Storm needed to be a girl boss, like, you got to be kidding me.
But this will be the 4th attempt at a Fantastic Four movie. Do you really think that botching this one too isn't going to have long-standing and long-term negative consequences for this brand? Do you think that they're going to come back for another attempt at a reboot? Look, all you're proving is that even you, the people that have gotten everything else right up until phase 4, can't get Fantastic Four right. And Fantastic Four is a unviable property as a movie.
They can't look at what they put out, why it's failed, and then actually learn from it. They only have to push harder and harder and harder. And that's the biggest mistake in comic books and television and streaming and movies happening right now, is when the audience, when your customers tell you what's working and what's not working, and just ignoring it and pretending like it never happened.
That is all of entertainment. It doesn't matter if it's books, movies, video games, television, comic books, anything. It's never that they had a bad idea. It's merely that they haven't been allowed to do enough of it yet. And this is going to be the 478,934th attempt at trying to prove themselves right. It's going to fail. It's going to blow up in their face, and they're going to sit there and go, well, we'll get it right next time. We could force it. Eventually it'll work.
Nah, that's not the way it's going to go. And, I would love to see a good depiction of the Thing on the big screen. I do think Michael Chiklis is probably a good casting for the character, in the first Fantastic Four cast, but those movies were just really bad. And then the second dude, the British guy that they got for him that was like in his 20s or whatever, that was terrible casting. They should be only thinking about how they can make the Thing really stand out and be an essential part of this. But they're overthinking. Sue Storm's got to be a girl boss. Reed Richards absolutely has to be the embodiment of toxic masculinity, and probably blowing up a project before it even starts because they don't realize what made it work in the first place.
Just keep shooting yourself in the foot. I'm sure it'll work out eventually.
We keep getting told that Kevin Feige and Bob Iger understand what the problems are for the MCU, for Star Wars, for all the things that are failing right now. But every time you get an update on one of these projects, every time you hear rumors, you realize that is not the case. And it turns out they are trying to fix the wrong problems. They don't realize the real problem is them and their storytelling. Definitely check this video out right here. There's also a link in the video description.